Hello, welcome to this video. In this video, I will be doing a presentation on MCP, Model Context Protocol. MCP is developed by Anthropic so that the large language models can use this protocol to get data from external sources. It is similar to RAG, but here the data is coming from external um, server, okay, like a API. In API, the developers used to write code whenever there is a change. We need to revisit the system and modify the code and ready to deploy. But in this case, we will not be doing such activities. MCP server actually is residing in somewhere. So whenever there is a change, the owner of the MCP server, they'll be hosting it. The client, say for example, the Claude large language model will be connecting to that MCP server through its client called as connector. In Claude, the MCP client name is connector. Okay. The business case, what I'm using in this demonstration is for insurance business, insurance company. We have a user called claims handler. The responsibility of the claims handler is to create a claims for a customer, sometimes to check the claims data and then escalate the claim if anything is beyond his control. Also to check the fraud related data on the claim or with the customer involved. Okay, so that is a business case I am going to use. So that means here, for example, that is an insurance company which will be having its own database, and then it will be exposing some of the functionalities, otherwise called as tools in MCP context, and those tools can be consumed by the large language models. So the user here, the claims handler, will be using the large language model like Claude chat interface to connect to the MCP tools and then get the access the data. Okay, so I'll be going through the application here. So this is my project. Here I have something called SRC, the source. Here I have folder called tools. Under tools, I have four files. Each file is having some tools in it. So claims underscore tools dot Python file. The technical stack which I'm using here is Python language. For the MCP SDK, I'm using the fast MCP, a Python package, and then the database is SQLite, a simple file-based SQL database engine for this demonstration purpose, which has some master data. I cited the data. Mm, yeah, and then I'll be showing this demo by connecting the Claude in both STDIO as well as HTTP mode. Okay, so coming back to this, yeah, this is the claims tools.python file. Here we have some three methods. First is get claim. I won't be using the word method. Instead I'll be using the tools. Okay, get claim, create claim. Three tools we have under this file, all related to. That's why these three are clubbed together into one single file. The first tool is get claim, where the input parameter is claim ID. Based upon the claim ID, this will give us the claim related data. Second method is create claim, where we need to pass some creation of claim related data, and it will help to create the claim. The third one is update claim status. If you want to change the status of a claim from created to submitted or escalated, those cyclic process can happen under this method. Fraud tools. Here we have only one tool called as check fraud signals. Based upon the customer ID, it will detect, hey, this customer is a fraud customer in the past. Otherwise, the claim what is rising or what he has priced in the past also clear fraud. So such kind of information will be provided by this tool. Each and every tool will have a access to the database. So that's why you can see something related to SQL here. Okay, right. Next, policy tools. This policy tools is having two methods. The first tool is get underscore policy, where we need to pass the policy number and it will give the policy data. Second is validate coverage. Again, here also we need to pass the policy ID. Plus, we need to pass the claim type. Say, for example, there are different policies: property policy, motor policy, health policy, and all. You cannot raise a claim uh, on a health policy for a property related loss. Okay, you cannot raise a my motor is stolen, but your policy is health, you cannot raise it. So such coverage type will be validated by this tool. And then finally we have a tool called report tools. Here we have a some method, tool method called generate adjuster report. This generates the report for a given claim ID. Okay, so basically it talks with other tools also to get the information. So that is the purpose of this tool. All these tools can be seen in file called server.py. This is the main file which will be hosting the tools in the server. Okay, so here you can see the fast MCP SDK, which is used for MCP protocol. And then we are registering each and every tool like this MCP tool, and then we are giving the tools description. This is the description for this particular tool called Get Policy. Retrieve full details of insurance policy, including coverage, amount, deductible, etc. Okay, so this is the way we need to expose a tool to the outside world. Okay, so that the MCP client, LLM, large language model, will understand how this is the method used for this purpose. Okay, then call this method. Okay, if this is not useful, then let's search for some other method. The one thing, if we have a multiple tools having a similar description, then it will be a problem. So the large language model will get confused to call which tool actually because of similar description. Sometimes it calls both the tools. Sometimes go for hallucination. It won't give the right results and all. So we have to make sure that description is appropriate for the tools. And then you can see something called audit tool. Actually, it is an internal tool. It is not exposed to the outside world. This is mainly written for a auditing purpose. So any action you perform from the large language model as a user on these tools, everything will be logged. So actually here we are wrapping up each and every tool around this audit tool. Okay, so this server.py file, you can see all the tool whatever we are going to expose in this file, Python file. Okay, right. Okay, as I said before, I am going to show a demo in stdio mode as well as http mode. That's why we have a code. Okay, if it is std mode, follow this process. Otherwise, http mode means like this. Stdio is nothing but standard input output. Right. Okay. And then we have something called governance and guardrails. Governance, I made it very simple. I am just having audit related method. As I said, this is the uh, method used to do auditing purpose. Yeah, this is the tool which we have seen in the server.py file. This basically writes the log data into the table. Okay, this is the main purpose of this file, and whatever it tries to make sure sanitize inputs so that any personal identification information will not get saved to database. Slim result, everything is some sanitation related methods, and write log is a core method which will insert records into the audit logs table. Okay, and then we have something called guardrails. Okay, guardrails, I have two Python files, injection.py, validator.py. Injection.py is something but we try to do a prompt injection. Though actually we have LLM in this case is not in our control, they send the data, but still we do a prompt injection so that whatever data is coming from LLM in case to as a request to the tools, we are just doing make sure uh, any vulnerability is detected and it won't get saved in database. And then we have validated.py. Validate is nothing but it validates the input data which is coming to the tools. It will say, for example, in this case, it validates the ID. Okay, if any information is not present in the request, but we are still trying to access this tool, means it will throw the validation. So this is basically a list of validation methods for all the tools we have in place. Okay, right. This is governance and guardrails, and this is data. Here we have that SQLite uh, database, file-based SQL database engine. Okay, here we have different tables, audit logs, um, claims, whatever the claims has been registered so far, associated policy, associated customer, the claim type, what is the class of business for the claim, and the claim description, incident when it occurred, claim amount, status, everything. And customers related master data, customer name, first name, second name, last name, customer ID, email, everything is mentioned here. And then policies, policy data associated with the customer here. You can see the policy number followed by customer ID, and then the coverage type of the policy, sum insured of the policy, detectable, otherwise called as excess in the insurance world, premium to be paid for that policy, start date, end date, status of the policy, whether it's active policy or inactive policy, likewise. So this is the database folder I have. Okay. I also have some test actually for each and every method I have in this code base. For the given input, I try to find what is the expected output. So these are the tests I have. And then I have evals. Evals is also similar to test, but evals is kind of an integration test you can consider. Basically, evals is nothing but to evaluate the end-to-end LLM response. So that is why we have evals here. And then I have a env file. Env file is git ignode. Even the my claims db file is also a git ignode. We don't want to uh, export into the repository GitHub. That's why it's git ignode. Okay. env file we will having some secured data. In this case, I really don't have much secure data. I'm not using any API key and all here, so that's why I'm opening it up. So yep, this is some of the default values. This is the maximum approval amount a handler can go for it. Such thing is there, and DB path, the path of this file. So it's mentioned over here. Okay. In future, I want to extend towards the cloud. That's why I have given some placeholder for the Azure variables. At the moment, I'm not using it anyhow. And then this is some template file which will be uploaded into the Git. So it is not this file is not a Git node. Yeah, Git ignore file. Include empty file each and every uh, application we develop under the cloud. We need to have this file. So whenever any session is closed, if we restart the session, the cloud system automatically reads this file to understand the application what it is about. And README file is about what this entire application does. So anyone wanted to clone this repository from the GitHub, they will read this file for the installation instructions, and then what this application does, functionality, what all the packages it requires, requirements, and every details will be present in the README file. I have given these details in my GitHub. In GitHub, you can see, and also it explains the flow diagram of this. What are the tools? Everything about this application is mentioned under this readme.md file. Okay, requirement.exe is nothing but the list of Python packages used by this application. Fast MCP SDK package for the MCP protocol, Python uh, .env package, Faker for the test PyTest. Okay, and run server Py. This is the file used by the Claude config JSON file. Okay, so this is the first file which will be invoked, and then this will host the server.m Python file. If it is a stdio mode, and these all the things we pass as an argument. Otherwise, for HTTP, these are the arguments. Okay. Now I will show the Claude without hosting my server. Say for example, I have created some of the test scenarios. I have already have some claims data and all. So okay, in this case, I will copy this one of the prompt. Okay, I will I will send this prompt with MCP and without MCP. With MCP means I'll get some relevant data from my tools. Okay, without MCP, I wanted to show you how the LLM works, the Claude works. Okay, I copied this. Now I just copied it. I'm just um, going to check the Claude. Yes, Claude is not yet opened up. I'm just going to open the Claude. Yeah, here I'm just opening a new chat. Yeah, here I'm going to give the prompt. Hey, get me the policy details for this policy number. Let me click send. It is trying to find any information it can fetch. Yeah, see, it is trying to find from Gmail, Google Drive, and all. Okay, because my MCP server is not hosted. So whatever available tools are there, it is trying to find. I searched Gmail but came up empty. Unfortunately, Google Drive MCP tools are not loading. So there is no information for this policy because my tool is not hosted. I'm going here to see my tool is there or not under connectors. My tool is not there. My MCP tool is not configured. That's why it is not giving any answers. Okay. Now I will uh, yeah now I will expose my I will yeah now I'll expose my tool without hosting this server so that I'll do it in stdio mode. Okay. Yeah. At the moment, I have given some command, but anyway, I'm not using it. I'm just going to do it. I'm not hosting my server. I'm not running my server. Okay. Rather, I have some config file. I'll show you the Claude's config file. This is the Claude config file. See users and username of your lap of your machine. Okay. Go to this folder. Okay. I already opened this file here. In this case, I need this existing by default, the file content. I will be using my config for this stdio mode. Okay, so basically this is the only content I need to copy paste, need to include in the existing config file. Okay, what it says, okay, my mcp server tool name is my mcp server name is claims assistant, and it needs a python.exe file. This is the uh, file belonging to my application. This has to be run first, and these are the environment variables I'm injecting to the application. MCP transport is stdio, db path is claims.db file. Okay, so I'm going to copy paste the entire content into the current config file. Okay, this is the config file. Okay, you can see the file path, C colon users, whatever I showed you, that is the file path here. Okay, this is the default path. Since it does not have any MCP server, that's why you could not see any of the MCP server in the cloud. Okay, now I copy pasted the content. Now you can see my MCP server is there, claims assistant. Okay, I'm going to save it. I saved it. Now I'm going to relaunch the cloud. So for relaunch, I need to make sure I kill this, quit this cloud. Now I'm going to open it. Now I'll show you the Claude connector. Okay, connectors. See, it took some few seconds. Now I can see Claims Assistant. This is my new MCP server. Now Claude has access to all my 7 tools. Okay, under this MCP server Claims Assistant. Now I'm going to try the same prompt what I tried initially. Okay, get me the policy details for Paul 0003. Okay, click enter. Let's see. See, we are getting some relevant data. So this data is coming from the tool, from the tool is accessing our SQLite database. Okay, so this is how it's going to be useful in the real time. Okay, so it is all giving all the information of that policy data of the policy. This is an active policy, what you wanted to do. So I can do many operations. Say for example, if I'm going to extend my thing, check frauds. I'm going to give a second prompt. Check fraud signal for a customer to actually the policy. The customer name of the policy is customer hyphen triple zero two. So it will keep accessing this. This time it will fetch the customers. Sorry, fraud signals tool. So different tools can be accessed. So basically, this text is used by the LLM to get the semantics and get the relevant tool based upon the tool's doc string, and then the tool is accessed. Tool queries the database and gives the response back. Okay, Claude wants us to access this claims assistant. Yes, I want it. Always hello. Now it will give the fraud related data of the particular customer. Yep. So this customer is Jessica. Total claims 4. In the last 18 months alone, she has raised 3 claims. Fraud signals detected. So all this information is actually phrased by the LLM with the data coming from the tool. Okay. So given the high risk customer, any pending or new score should be held for manual review. Right. Right. Now, yeah. Okay, I'm going to give another thing. Get me the policy details for this policy number. Yep, cool. Yes, we have got some data. Let's check the data of that policy. This is a health insurance policy held by so and so. Coverage is okay, right. So it is asking any other details you wanted to know from this policy. Okay. Now I'm going to give such a prompt where we don't have any policy for that. We don't have such policy with the number 9999. Okay, let's see how it behaves. It says no policy found. Okay, right. Now I'm going to search a policy, but not giving the policy number. Rather, I'm going to give the customer name. Customer name I've given as John Smith. We don't have any tool which can take the customer name as the input parameter. So it is saying unfortunately available tools only support looking up a policy by policy ID. Right? So if you still wanted to check with the John Smith, make sure you have the customer ID or policy ID so that you can search. Right. Okay. So we know this policy exists. I wanted to raise a claim. Okay. For this policy, user wanted to raise a claim for his property for an amount of $1,000. Let's see. See, I haven't given much information, so it's asking some more questions. Before I raise the claim, I need a couple of details that are required. Claim type. Yeah, it's a property, but what it is it because of fire, flood, theft, damage, etc. What date description? Okay, I will answer. Some theft happened on some date like 20 March 2026. Okay, description. Um, Looks like some strangers came into our home during our holiday and they have stolen some jewelries of worth $1,000. Okay, so here create claim tool will be used. Okay, now it is giving the policy related data. Okay, yeah, policy is this claim type theft. Just is asking the confirming the details. Should I go? Yes. See, it says it cannot be filed because I gave a date which is outside the policy range. The policy actually expired on 18th of October 2025. Okay, and then suggesting whether you want to renew the policy or not. I'm saying, oh, oops, sorry, the date is 20 March 2025. Okay, but the claim amount is intentionally I'm going to give that bigger amount. Claim amount is um, 1.2 million. Let's see. Just asking us to verification. It says the claim amount is significantly exceeds the policy coverage limit of 500,000. Do you still want to proceed? Your coverage is 500,000, but you're giving a claim for 1.2 million. I'm saying yes. The claim could not be filed because the maximum value can be is 1 million only. So it's saying reduce. Okay, reduce. Again, it's saying, hey, maximum limit is 1 million, but your policy coverage is 500,000. I'm saying no. Oh, so I mean, my no answer is very, very simple. I want to proceed with 1 million claim. Yeah, it is asking for a confirmation. Yes, given that the claim exists, the policy coverage is already has a high fraud risk rating. The claim should be carefully reviewed. You like to generate a full adjusted report? Yes. Yeah, high risk claim. Escalate. Okay, this is a high fraud risk. So this is the status given by the our Claude because of the rules what we have in place under the tools. Right. So we have seen the business flow. So coming back to this, yeah. So far we have tested through Stdio mode. Now I'm going to launch my server. Launching my server gives an advantage so that cloud interface from in the network, any machines, they can also access my server hosted in my laptop. Okay, so for whatever I've shown is within my machine. It is through stdio mode so far. But now I'm going to launch the server. This is the command. Yeah, I'm going to hit enter. This will launch my MCP server. Okay, in the real time, it can be in some machines so that it can be exposed to the outside world. Okay, now this is launched. But now, since HTTP mode, I need to change my config settings. Okay, I already have some config setting. This is the HTTP mode of the config settings. I'm going to, yeah, this is the config file. I'm going to replace the existing config file with this. So the difference is with this URL, my Claude will be launching. Earlier, we did not give any URL. Now we are giving a URL where my MCP server is hosted under the 8000 port. My Claude interface will be connecting. Okay, right. Now I will stop the, I need to quit entirely, then I need to restart. Yeah, it's again here. Now I'm going to test something, some prompt. Now through the HTTP mode. Okay, still the connector is there. Claims assistant. I can show you like this. Even if you close this, our claims assistant connector will show all the tools it exposed, get policy and all. If anything you don't want, you can click block. So that particular tool won't be exposed. Okay, right. Now I'm going to hit this prompt. Let's see. We'll get the same information as we did previously, but the mode is different now. Now the mode is HTTP mode. In this case, our server should be always running. Yeah, just fetch the data of that claim for customer, sorry. Yep. Remaining operations work same as what I did previously. No big difference. So this is the uh, purpose of MCP in the real time. We can create many tools and then host in a server so that we can integrate our um, chat interface like Claude to the MCP server, and then we can work with it. Okay, so this is the end of the demo. I think it would have been much useful. If you have any questions, please let me know. Um, I already posted about this video in the GitHub repository. You can find some information over there. That's it. Uh, yep, that's it. All good. Thanks for your time. See you.